Well, good morning, everyone. I will introduce myself since I'm very new to here, so I will let you know a little bit about myself and why I'm here. I am the new CEO of ÅAC, and I will call it ÅAC in English, not ÅAC in Swedish, to reflect that that's how the company is mostly known in the world. And plus, we get all the way up in the alphabetical order that way. So. I've moved to Sweden just very recently. I've been the CEO for not 2 months yet. I started on October 2nd, and I moved over here, and I was very impressed by the plan that ÅAC had, and also really interested in the human team that I found and the resources that I found in the company. And I think we have a very interesting future ahead of us, and I will let you know a little bit about it in a minute, and why we think this is a great investment opportunity. So we move ÅAC like our friends in GOM that did a great presentation to educate us on the dynamics of new space and small satellites, and I thank them for that. We move in the new space arena, and it's a sector in the economy that is set to grow very, very strongly. And I have here 3 headlines from different places, and the numbers are all very big. You know, Morgan Stanley talks to $1 trillion to 2040, and others talk of billions of dollars. I think their message here is not that whatever millions or billions, but that it's going to grow very strongly, and it's going to grow double-digit for the next few years. And there is room for many, many operators, many players in the field to really make their business cases and make interesting investment propositions. If we look at it in a slightly different way, here we have a graph that locates the activity in different places. The graph is from a report recently published, and it's slightly misleading because the dark gray clouds mean that growth is under 35%. So, it's the sunny symbols are growth over 50%, absolutely phenomenal. So in the US, you see the growth is under 35%. But of course, the US is such a big market that it's still a massive, massive operation with growth under 35%. It's going to be enormous. And, where are we as ÅAC? Well, we think, in all those billions that I was mentioned, we think we face a market, an accessible market of about $2 billion per year today, just under, and in a couple of years we will be facing a $3 to $4 billion per year market. So again, very, very, very fast growth, lots of room to grow and to expand. And this is a little bit of how the growth roadmap is seen by some analysts. And we chose this slide because it shows where things are going and what is happening in the sector. We're talking about big growths, and here we see what is happening. So as our friends in GOMS, we're right now in the advance of the small satellites, and the very advanced systems in very small sizes, and nano satellites and small satellites. So electronics coming a lot from the IT and the telecom sector are working their way into satellites and providing a lot of performance. So that's what is happening right now today, and we've seen it. In the coming years, the launchers are going to be a challenge, because it's the most difficult part, as some of you may know. You have to wait for a rocket. It's not an inexpensive thing. It's kind of expensive. So the launchers are going to, but there are many launch initiatives. There are maybe 20 different launch initiatives right now in the world developing. So that's probably going to be solved in the coming 2-3 years. And then that will allow us to move from beyond low Earth orbit, and that's what LEO is, L-E-O. Beyond low Earth orbit, that is the 500 to 800 kilometer orbital altitude, to medium Earth orbit and geosynchronous and even interplanetary with very small satellites, not the traditional big ones that of course they are been there then. And then at the end, in the 2020s and on, well, we expect to have highly capable platforms with high stability, high performance. So all of that is driven by certain drivers that are listed there. So the data is increasing and many new applications are coming online, and that's why data is increasing. Of course, we see miniaturization and we see a lot of increased use of software-defined systems. And software-defined systems for us are very important because, as said before, if once you launch a satellite, there's no way of touching it. There's no way of altering it. But you can alter the software because you can transmit a software patch up, and then you can redefine the way the satellite works or modify or maybe repair it. So it's very important for us that software is an increasing capability. And of course, the electronics, as I said, are increasing. And all of that with the small satellites, as Trolls explained, drives us to having constellations. And that's also very interesting because it drives the price of each unit down. If you're able to make 10, 20, or 100 of whatever, it's a lot easier than making one-offs that are very, very expensive to manufacture. So what do we do? Well, we do this. This is one of a Sirius OBC. I'll have it in the table outside if anyone wants to come and look at it, no problem, I'll show it. And we do platforms. We do satellite platforms, and that means the part of the satellite that is able to put the payload up and then keep it there. The payload, of course, is the part of the satellite that does the mission, that does the sensor, or does the communications, or whatever use the owner of the satellite will do. So that's the things. In subsystems, we do power, we do onboard computers, and we do data handling. So a little bit of our history. We were spun off from Armstrong Laboratory in 2005. And in 2014, after a few years of doing varied things, we decided to adopt a very much more focused commercial approach to the company. And we were listed last December in 2016. And our current market capitalization is 280 million Swedish. And here on the right, you see the platform, the InnoSat platform that I'll talk about later more, and a couple of components, and I show you one of them in my hand to let you know the type of size things that we do. Here's a little film on our flight heritage, because we've been doing this for quite a while, and it's showing that our systems are reliable because we undertake a very thorough approach to our testing. Our systems are thoroughly tested. We have a strong engineering background, and we do testing of the systems, so they are very reliable in orbit. Again, showing, thinking of the problems of being in orbit and not being able to repair things. Here is our global footprint. We are based in Uppsala, our headquarters. And of course, we have quite a few Swedish customers. Probably everyone that is present in the space industry works with us here in Sweden, of course. In Europe also, you see them there below Spain. All the main names, you'll see them better in the next one. And then we have a very strong presence in the US, a long time having worked in the US with the most prestigious names. And we have also customers in Asia, in Japan and Korea. We also have a UK subsidiary based in Harwell and a US subsidiary based in Illinois. And we have 2 appointed distributors in the Far East because it's a very important market and it's something that we might expand in the future. Here you see our customers. So basically, our customers are select. There is JPL, there is the DLR, Airbus, JAXA, the Japanese Space Agency, for example. You know, all of them are there, all the relevant ones, the US Air Force. So our customers are not numerous, but they're very select and very demanding, and we're very proud to work with them. Our financials, well, they're not good. And it's obvious they're not good, but it's because we're in startup mode. We're concentrating in putting the processes in place, developing our product range properly. We're concentrating in spending money on doing things right, and we're not concentrating on sales. Plus, we've changed from a project-based to a product-based approach. So we've kind of abandoned a little bit the project work that provided some income last year, and this year is a lot less. So that's clearly the case of a startup. But we have the cash in hand to carry on our plan as stated in the IPO, and we will have better results next year, and we are confident that we will achieve our goals. So I'll show you a little bit about our strategic outlook on how we intend to get there and what we will intend to do. First, where do we focus? So we're placing ourselves squarely in the small satellite, and that goes from 10 to 500 kilos, from nano to mini. And those are definitions that are current in the industry. So obviously this is a flexible positioning. We're trying to be a little bit more cautious than others that are very specialized by being more open to different types of solutions. And for that, we're not limiting ourselves to the nano or CubeSat form factor and the U system. So we will go in 3, 6 U's, like these are perfectly designed to go into any U system, but we will also consider other form factors, other masses, other types of solutions, because the systems, although they are small, they have the performance to be able to service much more capable platforms. And we will go to different types of orbits. As I said before, we will go to medium Earth, we will try and go to geosynchronous, and if we can, we'll try lunar and interplanetary. We'll see what happens. And obviously that is all based on a very robust, and by robust in engineering we mean that it's performing, that is capable, that is thoroughly tested and reliable, so open and robust architecture. So this is our main product, the InnoSat platform today. The platform is the part that you see in the brownish color, and the gray part is the payload. We do this with our partners at OHB Sweden here. It's an interesting platform. It doesn't follow the CubeSat. This is slightly bigger than the CubeSats. You see here, you have all the characteristics. But basically what is important about the InnoSat is that it gives the user, the payload, about a 50 centimeter side cube. That's the amount of space that the payload has to be housed. And between 40 and 100 watts of power. And proper pointing, proper propulsion, telecommunications, the regular things that a satellite provides for a payload. So that is something that is being developed today. It will be commercially available. We're offering it just today as it is, because things take a long time to mature. So there you see it on the left. It's the platform itself, and on the right is with a nominal payload. So that's our main offering. We think of platforms not as physical systems, but as capabilities. We think of platforms as subsystems put together in a certain way that can provide the service that are required. So we're not talking about this box, we're talking about a way of organizing things so you can put a satellite in orbit and do things, and do them for a long time, 5 to 10 years, because our focus is, from our reliable point of view, to be able to do proper business cases where people are making use of the satellite for a long time, and we're not thinking of replacing them after a year or something like that. So with all that, we have our strategic plan well on the way. Our orders are starting to come in. You've seen probably the press releases recently. We have, for example, orders from Airbus very recently, and that was a major achievement for us because it was in the ExoMars program. So that's a very ambitious mission, very, very important for us to go there, to go in the majors, as they're called. And we have a license agreement with York Space that is one of the main players in the US. They incorporate our systems into their platforms, and that will be growing in the future, and it'll be very interesting to carry, and it's another different way of doing business. And then the team. The team is important. Our CEO and Deputy CEO and CFO, Mats, has been on board for a number of years now. He's very focused on production and organization, so he brings to the company that capability of looking after the production side. Then Brent Abbott in the US and Heracles in the UK are very, very, very good, very seasoned BD persons in the sector, very well known. And then myself, I will also be more focused on the BD and expansion part. So I think it's a very important, very powerful, experienced management team that is right in place. And we hope that everything will go very smoothly. And to finish, and I still have a few minutes to spare, so you see we saw this graph before. And we mentioned about the nano satellites and the electronics, and we are doing that. We're already doing this. This is either a OBC or a data handling subsystem. If you come and take a look at it, you'll see how elegant and very simple it is in appearance. It's extremely sophisticated in performance, but we're doing that. We have done the miniaturization and the electronics and the software already. So we started that in 2015, and we're doing that from today. And then for the next 2 years until 20, they're talking about going to beyond LEO. We don't do rockets, so the rockets are somebody else's problem. But we're talking about going beyond LEO. And our systems are tested in such a way that we can go today and with easy effort into places that are not LEO. We're today studying applications, for example, for geosynchronous. We're talking about medium Earth orbit. Medium Earth orbit is very difficult because of the radiation belts that are right there. And it will again, we're really ready to go there and fit with the trend. And then we're talking about highly capable, stable, highly performing platforms. And with InnoSat, we will be there very soon. InnoSat is being developed. We will have a CDR next year, and it will be commercially available very soon. So again, the 2020 and beyond, also, we are well placed to serve that need and that trend. And all of that, to us, is very interesting because we see a virtuous circle in this sector. And is what I've tried to illustrate there on the right. The applications are driving the technology, and the technology are enabling the applications. So we provide systems that are enablers that, by their performance, their capabilities, are capable of doing new applications. So these new applications try to drive the technology or ask for more performance. So this is interesting. And how will we also ensure that we do this? Well, we'll stay at the state of the art, of course, and that is something we take very seriously by having our personnel constantly updated. And then we will go grow organically into the sectors we know and dominate the technology we need to dominate and acquire the know-how we need to have. And at the same time, and this is something that openly AAC has published, we will look for mergers and acquisitions to acquire capabilities in other sectors within the field of small satellites and also acquire larger volume of business. So our plan is to expand really strongly in the same type of growth that the market has. And with that, I'm done. I thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting. Very interesting. Alfonso, please, you can sit down here in the middle, and we are going to ask some questions. You told us an interesting thing. One of your last things you told us. You're looking for M&As. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Well, AAC has declared that it will grow through acquisitions or mergers or alliances, and that is published. Of course, I cannot comment on any detailed operation.
No, maybe not.
But the players, there are many players in this sector, and there are all kinds of different players. So we see there is ample opportunities to do acquisitions and mergers.
But do you have the money for?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We have the money in the IPO. In the prospectus, there was some money earmarked for that, and yes, we do have the money. Plus, in May, we have a warrant issue that matures, and that will be additional money coming into the company.
Okay. I will also ask you a little about threats, what can go wrong?
What can go wrong? Well,
a lot.
A lot can go wrong. I think as an industry, what we face, the most threatening thing is the rockets. The launcher vehicles are still expensive and difficult to obtain. And if the new initiatives take a long time to mature, the growth, it's difficult to achieve if you don't get into orbit. So that is the main threat we see, because it affects everybody. As a company, of course, we are seeing that processes are taking slightly longer than we thought at the beginning. So we need to keep the business going while we do the development. So that's something that we have to look carefully and control. So that's something that could be a threat if we don't do it. But we're doing it well, and we're seeing the rewards by the new intake of orders.
Yes, we can see if here is any questions from the audience. No questions.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I have to repeat. You show a component, but what functionality is there in that component?
So that type of component I had.
You can take it over here if you want to have it in
this
your
type
hand.
of component in my hand.
Yeah.
This is either in this form factor and with this size. It's either a flight computer, so it's a computer that runs the software that controls the whole satellite, or a TCM, a unit that does data handling for the satellite. And we can also use this type of component to do data handling for payload. So if a payload needs to have some data stored and then forwarded to the radio and things like that, we can do that. And then there's other form factors where we have the power systems, and they're either smaller, like this, or a little smaller, or bigger. And those power systems, what they do is they control the power. So they take the power from the solar arrays and the batteries, and then they send power to different components at the specified voltages and intensities and at certain times, and they have protections and this type of thing.
Yes, next. Yes, the question is about competition in that area you talked about.
Yeah, well, there are competitors in this area, a few. GOM, our friends, have their own flight computers, and others. I think competition is good, and we thrive on it. And again, the sector is big enough and the growth is big enough for everybody to really progress and make things. And well, everybody takes their own approach. Our approach is to make these things very reliable, well tested. We are COTS, but we are a little bit leaning towards the official or traditional space. We're doing a very thorough testing procedure, so we ensure that these things are reliable, and this is what many of our customers appreciate in the end, and they trust us with this.
Okay, any more questions?
There was someone else here, I think.
Okay.
Nope.
No, I cannot see any. Yes, you told us also that you are still in a startup mode, and because of that you're not cash flow positive, and it will take some time until you're cash flow positive. But can you tell us a little more? Tell us a little bit more about your financials.
Well, we're not doing forecasts. We aim to fulfill what our IPO prospectus promised, and we just released our quarterly report on the 23rd, so all of our details are there. Our financials are this year, as you see, we're little turnover and little income, so we're accumulating a little bit of losses, but we have the cash in hand, and if we stay on track, then we think we will be able to achieve our plan, and we expect much better results for next year.
Mm-hmm. You have also told us about the market size, and the market is expanding very fast for the moment. Why is the market expanding so fast just now?
Yeah, the market expanding because the technology is making things very much more affordable. So Trolls mentioned, $1 million for a CubeSat, and I think it's a good price point, but a lot less if you do a constellation. So he was talking about getting into space for 3 million, and that's almost nothing compared to traditional space. So this is something that is enabling many people to think about new uses, constellations, new applications, and then there is a growing trend, and this is, I think, very interesting, is small satellites are allowing specialized tools in space and specialized tools to tap into the economy. Things to look at, like aircraft, he was saying, shipping, but also transport, mining, retail even, construction, this type of thing. This is where the real money is. The economy is much bigger than the space economy, and if we are able to tap into that, then we can expand tremendously.
Okay, any question from the audience? You are rather new in the company, and I don't think you told us so much about your background, but you can tell us a little about what have you been doing before?
I am an aerospace engineer. I started in space, 30 years ago, in 1987 at European Space Operations Center in Darmstadt. I've been in space all my life, but with a strong emphasis on business development and management. So in the last few years, I was, if someone of the space sector is here, he will know about Deimos in Spain. I was part of that since 2001. And we launched 2 satellites, the first 2 private Earth observation satellites in Europe, called Deimos 1 and Deimos 2, fully private, no government backing. And those have been in orbit and successfully and profitable since 2009 and 2014. And I'm now the CEO and really excited to be here.
Mm-hmm. But what do you think was so interesting to move to this little company in this small country? Up in the north.
Well, the north is...
You have head office in
Uppsala.
Uppsala. That's close to the polar circle. So.
Certainly for a Spaniard like myself. Well, the north, the north is the north. I always say it's not where you are, but what you do, and that's what is important. The plan the company showed me, and when I talked to some of the people, I talked to Heracles or Mats and others, and I saw the plan was doable. The plan was eminently achievable and very sensible, very well thought out. And I said, well, I can be part of that. It's an interesting company to expand and make interesting things with it.
Okay, we have time for a very short question if you have anyone.
Anyone?
No. Nope. Okay. I think it was very interesting to listen to you.
Good
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.